What's up, guys? Welcome back. A little bit of a disclaimer about my last video. Um, it was a complete fail on my end. It was early, and I got excited because I saw that this. I did a calculation about Tom Brady in between the dates of his birth and 9/11 and 11/11. So if you guys watch that, disregard it because it's going to be the same for everyone. Because obviously, everyone's going to be the same amount of days after their birthday or after 9/11, right? So just disregard that last video. You can laugh at me all you want. I was just having a brain fart. And so, yeah, I'm going to leave the video up because it's funny, but I just wanted to share that disclaimer and get a good laugh out of it with you guys. So this next video is going to be clear information on how this skit that happened on August 5th, a month before the Queen's death, was a clear prediction of the Queen's death and the next 9/11. And the reason I'm going to say the next 9/11 is because I'm going to show you how this is all tied together with the numbers. And I'm also going to show you how this skit that was performed was so clearly a ritual and it was predictive programming. Because remember, guys, even before 9/11, there was plenty of predictive programming for 9/11. Like in the Matrix movie, I'm sure wrestling even did it because there was lots of wrestling before 9/11. I'm sure there was lots of different rituals, and it's just about being able to see that what they're predicting and what their programming is. So anyways, I'm going to play this skit real fast and I'm going to show you how this is tied to the 9/11, and I'm going to show you how it's tied to the Queen's death, how it was predictive programming for both things. Okay, so here we go.
And there's Scarlet with the hourglass.
So I know it was short, guys, but I don't want to get like a copyright or anything. But anyways, let's just go back and you have these two characters, okay? And her name is Elizabeth, right? Her real name is Elizabeth, and she puts an hourglass in front of the bloodline. Right? The people who are standing in the ring that she's showing the hourglass to are known as the bloodline, and these people represent kind of like the leaders, the people, the secret societies that are basically what you could say the people that are orchestrating all of the world events. Okay, and she's putting the hourglass in front. Her real name is Elizabeth. She's counting down with the hourglass till the days between Queen Elizabeth dying. Okay, it's simple. It's a simple ritual. Okay, and her name's Elizabeth, but her stage name is Scarlet Bordeaux. All right, and I'm going to show you how all this ties together. This guy's name is Karrion Cross, and he has the 11/11. In my prior videos, I've been talking about how 11/11, which is the founding date of Washington, November 11th, this year is the 133rd anniversary of the founding of Washington on 11/11. And remember, 9/11 took place on the day leaving 111 days left in the year. The Queen was born on the 111th day of the year. Okay? This guy was born in New York, which equals 111. New York equals 111. Okay? And I'm going to show you how this is all tied together. But the very first number and the very first thing I want to talk about is the 168. You're going to notice here that World Trade Center construction began on the North Tower in 1968. And anytime you see the 1900s, I've noticed that they do this weird thing with the 9 because you can take out the 9, right? It's a repeater number. But what about the other three numbers? Because if you take out the 9 in 1969, you get 168. So it's not insignificant that the 168 is when the World Trade Center construction began, the 168. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you how these characters are tied to it, how Queen Elizabeth's tied to it. All right. So the first thing to know here is that, again, her name is Elizabeth. And these two wrestlers had been away from wrestling for a year after being released a year ago. And they made a surprise return on August 5th. And they attacked a Scottish wrestler. His name is Drew McIntyre. Okay. And Drew McIntyre is from Scotland, and the Queen died in Scotland. So not only do you have Elizabeth putting the hourglass for Queen Elizabeth, but you have the attack that they perform was on a Scottish wrestler, and that's where the Queen died. Okay. Also, this guy, again, not only is he referencing the KK like the 1111, but I'm going to show you how he's tied to New York because he's from New York. Okay. And remember, in my last video, I told you that Seattle was originally named New York when the settlers first found it. So let's go back to the Gematria. And I want you guys to remember the 168. Okay. Because remember, World Trade Center construction in 1968, you drop the 9, you get 68. 168. Now, the first thing I want to show you, I'm going to go back to the next page because I have 2 pages up here. The first thing that's very obvious here is that it's so obvious, guys. Next 911 equals 168. Okay? 168 and 69. Just like Vladimir Putin. And what's going on this year in this world, guys? And who is the attack probably going to be blamed on? Well, it's probably going to be blamed on this guy. And his name equals 168 and 69, just like next 911. Okay? But I also told you that electricity, which remember in my last video, I was talking about some sort of power outage or cyber attack or EMP attack in Seattle. And I told you that electricity equal 168 and 69, just like Vladimir Putin, okay, and just like next 9/11. So just look at all the 168 and 69s, okay? Now, notice that Queen Elizabeth II equals 168, just like Vladimir Putin. She also has the 84 like Vladimir Putin. So just disregard these 2 numbers, okay? And let me just make it clear to you guys how this is all tied together. So look at this. You have the 69s with Vladimir Putin, electricity, and next 9/11. You have Queen Elizabeth II equal 168, electricity 168, next 9/11 168. Not to mention you have the 69s and the 84s, okay? And the 129s. So these are the numbers that are clearly being, and remember, electricity has the 69, the 168, and the 129. And these are the 3 numbers that continually come up right here. So let's just jump into the next part of this, which is, remember, the 1968 World Trade Center, okay, 168. So now, what about Karrion Kross, this character here that I said is tied to this event, right? I already told you that Queen Elizabeth dies, and her name is Elizabeth. But what about him? Okay, so his name in Gematria. Okay, let's pull it up. Look at his name, guys. 168, just like all the 168s I just showed you. And he has the 84, just like Vladimir Putin, just like Queen Elizabeth II. Okay, but he also has the 156. All right, and this is important because 156, 9/11 is the 156th prime number. Okay, right here, guys. 9/11, the 156th prime number is 9/11. See? So back to the history. And again, Karrion Kross 168, 156, like 9/11. I just showed you the next 9/11 equals 168 as well. So now let's talk about Scarlett, who is the character who returned with him, and her real name is Elizabeth. But what about her stage name, which is Scarlett? Okay, notice that Scarlett, if you take out these 2 numbers, Scarlett equals 98 and 26. The Queen died on 9/8, okay? And notice that Scarlett has a match with Queen with the 26. All right, so 9/8, 26. The Queen dies on 9/8, and the Queen equals 26. So it's a clear ritual for that. Also notice that chaos equals 26, and chaos also equals 89, which September 8th could be written 8/9, okay? Just like the 9/8. Also notice that chaos equals 19, and Seattle equals 19. the other thing to mention here, guys, is simple that basically, if you take Scarlett's real name, which is Elizabeth Chaia, right here, Elizabeth Chaia, if you take out the first cipher, you get a direct match in 3 ciphers. Okay, Elizabeth II equals 82, 30, 305, and 89, just like Elizabeth Chaia equals 82, 305, and 89. See? So I just showed you that Queen and Scarlet have a match, and Queen and Scarlet has the date of the Queen's death in it. The same thing with this. If you type out Elizabeth II and Elizabeth Chaia, it equals 82, 305, 89. The 89, again, coming back to the day the Queen died. Okay? Now, what about the name Scarlett Bordeaux, which is her full name in wrestling? It equals 188. Okay? And this is where we get into the whole Seattle Seahawks thing, which is the football team for Seattle. Remember, this whole thing is about Seattle. And the football team for Seattle is playing the Chargers on October 23rd, which is significant because this is the birthday of the founder of the Society of Jesus, Ignatius of Loyola. Okay? And they're playing the Chargers, and they're called the Los Angeles Chargers, and it's electricity. They have a lightning bolt. So obvious, guys. So let's see how they tie in with this, because they're playing the Chargers a few weeks before 11/11. And notice that Los Angeles Chargers equals 188, just like Scarlett Bordeaux, who is the name of this character. Actually, also, if you notice, the Seahawks play at a field called Lumen Field. Again, all about light, guys. Seahawks Lumen Field equals 188, just like Los Angeles Chargers. Also notice that it has a 3-cipher match to Los Angeles Chargers right here. 188, 298, and 100. Notice that Scarlett Bordeaux, this character, also has the 100, just like the other two. Also, Ordo ab chao, which is the Latin for order out of chaos, equals 188, just like Scarlett Bordeaux. And the other two here. So the 188 is huge, guys. And what's interesting about the number 188 is if you add 1 plus 8, you get 9. So you essentially have 9, 8. Again, going back to the Queen and all the other 9/8s going on here. But that's not important, guys. What's important here is the 188, Ordo ab chao 188, Cyber Attack 188, Forearm Smash. The reason that this Forearm Smash is important is because the move that this guy uses, Karrion Kross, to finish the matches, like his finishing move, is called the Forearm Smash. Okay? And notice that it equals 188 and 71, just like Cyber Attack. So take out these numbers, okay? You're going to get 188 and 71, just like Cyber Attack. And again, guys, I don't know how the power is going to go out, what the event's going to be in Seattle. But notice that all these 188s tying to Seattle, okay? Scarlett Bordeaux, Los Angeles Chargers, which is the lightning bolt. Seattle Seahawks Lumen Field, 188. Ordo ab chao, 188. Cyber Attack, Forearm Smash. Okay, all tied together. Now, the next thing that needs to be talked about here is Queen Elizabeth has a direct match in 3 ciphers to the White Rabbit. And why is this significant? Because Karrion Kross's former nickname used to be the White Rabbit. Okay, and he used to be in a group called Paul London's, like Queens from London, Paul London's Rabbit Tribe Stable. Okay, and remember, guys, we're getting ready to enter the year of the rabbit on 1/22/23. Okay, so, but anyways, the White Rabbit equals a direct match to Queen Elizabeth, 150, 69, and 228. Remember, I told you the 69 is important too here, because if you go to the other names I just showed you before, remember, next 9/11 equals 69 in the same cipher. Vladimir Putin equals 69. The White Rabbit, remember, I told you that Karrion Kross equals 168 like next 9/11, and his former nickname, okay, the White Rabbit equals 69 like next 9/11. So both of his names are tied to the next 9/11, and they're tied to Vladimir Putin, okay, and Queen Elizabeth. All right, so again, not a coincidence. Here it is, guys. Again, if you want to see it, White Rabbit and Queen Elizabeth, a direct match in 3 ciphers. So I think I'm hitting most of the points here. Oh, another thing I need to mention, guys, is that if you type in the abbreviation of LAC versus SCA, which is the abbreviation of Los Angeles Chargers versus Seattle, it equals 82 and 19, just like Seattle equals 82 and 19, just like Elizabeth II equals 82, just like the real name of Scarlett, who laid the hourglass, equals 82. See how they match? And you also have Seattle with the 82. And remember, guys, Seattle has the 44 like earthquake. All right. So that's also the option that I'm thinking could happen. But, anyways, remember, guys, I told you we're in the year of the rabbit, and that equals 52. But notice that rabbit has a two cipher match to Ukraine. And we all know what's happening with Putin in Ukraine. Okay. Another thing that's going on here with the 52s is that, let me show you this, guys. Another thing I want to mention about the Seahawks before I move on is that the Seahawks, not only are they playing the Chargers on October 23rd, remember the lightning bolt, the electricity, they're playing New York the next week. So you think that's a coincidence, guys? Remember, I just showed you all the ties. Actually, what I didn't show you about the 168 is New York City equals 168. As a matter of fact, New York City has a lot of the same matches to electricity, 168, 129, and 57. Remember, I just told you all the other 168s. Next 9/11 equals 168. Carrying Cross, 168. Vladimir Putin, 168. Queen Elizabeth II, 168. But notice that the Seahawks, after they play the Chargers, the Lightning, they play the New York. After that, guys, they play the Cardinals. And remember, there's a lot of predictive programming around Arizona and electricity and power outage. The album What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down by Public Enemy was released with the Arizona on the cover. And then the next 2 weeks, they're playing the Buccaneers. And guess where they're playing the Buccaneers, guys? They're playing the Buccaneers in Germany. This takes place in Germany, which is not usual, right? And the reason that this is important, guys, is because in my last video, I made the connection between Denver and Germany and how that predictive programming in the Denver game was predicting a power outage, an EMP. All right. And I also told you that Hitler's 133rd birthday was this year, and Washington State's 133rd birthday was this year. So the fact that they're playing in Germany 2 days after 11/11, again, is no coincidence. And they're playing Tom Brady, the great, the GOAT, okay, with the Skull and Bones flag, right? The next week, they're playing the other Skull and Bones team, the Raiders, Las Vegas. And guess where Karrion Kross is from? Also, he resides in Las Vegas. Remember, I told you Karrion Kross was born in New York, but he resides in Las Vegas. And again, Sin City with the other Skull and Bones pirate logo, right? Similar logos as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then they play the other LA team. So from the time they play the first LA team, you follow the pattern to the Giants, which is where 9/11 happened, New York. Then you go to the place where the power outage was predicted by Public Enemy in Arizona. Then you go to the two Skull and Bones teams, the Buccaneers and the Raiders, and then you're right back to the Rams. Okay? So my guess is between this date and this date, so from October 23rd, or actually I'm going to say a week before this, October 17th to December 4th, we could see a power outage in Seattle, possibly. Again, I don't know, but I'm just showing you all the clues that are here. There's probably a lot more people could do in the digging. Okay? So anyways, let's refocus back on the numbers here. Remember, I just tied all the 168s together, but what happens if you type in the number 168? Well, look at this, guys. You get 254. And what did I tell you about the 254? Remember, 11/11 is the 254th month anniversary of 9/11. And you just happen to get, remember, 9/11 happened on the 254th day of the year. And 168 equals 254. Okay? Which leads me to my next connection. Okay? is that Ukraine has the 110, just like Adolf Hitler has the 110 tied to Germany. Rabbit has the 110, and 168 has the 110. Okay, but what really leads me to my next point is the 254s here. Okay, and big shout out to a commenter in my last video stating that the character who plays 11 in the show Stranger Things, okay, her name equals 254, Millie Bobby Brown, and her birthday. Let me show you guys her birthday. Let me open up a new page. Millie Bobby Brown is the actress who plays 11, all right? And she was born on February 19th, okay? And that happens to be the opposite day on the calendar from 11/11. So let me show you. So here's her birthday, and it's the 50th day of the year, and 11/11, which is 11/11, and she plays character 11 in the show Stranger Things, is exactly the opposite day on the calendar. See, she was born on the 50th day of the year. 11/11 takes place on the 50 days left in the year. Also notice that it's the 266th day of her age and the 38th week of her age. 266 is the motto Isus Hominum Salvator of the Jesuits. And we all know about the symbolic meaning of the number 38. Okay? So anyways, guys, this is the opposite birthday of her, and she plays 11. To get it? She plays 11, and the opposite day on the calendar of her birthday is 11/11. And her name equals 254, like 9/11 happened on the 254th day of the year. And 168, which is what I've been talking about in this video, equals 254. Okay? And another connection to Stranger Things, guys, is in the last episode of the season, there was an earthquake in near Indianapolis. And remember, the game that I told you guys about 2 videos ago being predictive programming for a power outage was between Indianapolis and Denver. Okay? And notice that Stranger Things takes place near Indianapolis and it equals 82, like Seattle equals 82. Okay? Like Queen Elizabeth II equals 82. Okay? Now, one last thing about the rabbit. So let me show you how we're getting ready to enter the year of the rabbit. And if you guys haven't seen my community post about how the king's coronation is tied to 52, go to my community section. But if you go and you type in, well, I'm going to show you how this little skit that was done with Scarlett. Okay, remember I told you guys when they returned, they attacked the Scottish wrestler. And remember, the Queen died in Scotland, but that's not important right now. What I'm trying to show you is that there's 2 different times where Scarlett used 2 different methods to blind the Scottish wrestler. The first one, 3 weeks ago, Scarlett hits Drew McIntyre with a fireball, blinding him. And then after he's blinded, remember guys, it was just a special effect. It wasn't a real fireball. But anyway, she blinds him with a fireball, and then she uses pepper spray. And I'm going to show you how this is tied to blinding, okay? Because, let me see if I can find it. Scarlett Bordeaux interferes with pepper spray on McIntyre. You see? So 2 different times she uses 2 different methods to blind the Scottish wrestler. Again, the blinding is symbolic of putting somebody in the dark. It's both symbolic for the Queen's death and the power outage in Seattle, or the event in Seattle. Okay? Notice that pepper spray and fireball both equal 52. Okay? Just like rabbit. So maybe it does happen next year, guys. Maybe this November is just going to be like more predictive programming leading up to next November. Okay? That's always a possibility. So I'm not saying it's absolutely this November, because it would also make sense for it to be next November. But anyways, guys, I think the evidence is pretty clear. I think I've went over pretty much everything I can go over. And again, all this stuff is coming together so perfectly. and we're going to see what happens. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. I really enjoy exposing this code to all of you. Thank you for putting up with my horrible last video that I had a complete brain fart on. And I will see you guys in the next video. Many blessings.